Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it is UFC 245 fight week. I am so ready. Brick, you ready? Welcome to episode 16 of FTN from the Nosebleeds MMA Podcast. We are very grateful for you guys to be here. Thank you so much to Robert Jemias, Don't Be a Richard Music, and all of the people that purchase our merch, find us on all these different platforms. We appreciate you guys, and we appreciate the opportunity to provide you some insights and some thoughts for the UFC. Brick, are you excited for this week as much as I am?
Yeah, but I'm not going to be there like you are.
Yeah.
Just a PSA, Blake O'Rulian is on his way to Vegas to watch 245 with his own stupid eyes.
I will be there live. If anybody's there, come say hi. Come say what's up. I would love to meet some people who are into FTN. That would be super cool. So.
Yeah, and if you ask him where I am, he'll just say, he's probably at home.
He's probably at home.
Stuffing his face.
He's probably
in front of the TV.
He's probably just chilling at the TV looking for me in the stands, okay. Man.
All right, anyways, episode 16 of From the Nosebleeds. We are here. We are so excited. Like Blake said, UFC 245 is this Saturday, possibly the greatest, most stacked card of 2019. We are both so excited for it. So today, obviously, we're going to be talking almost all about that. But not only that, Jairzinho Rozenstruik and his insane knockout over the Reem last weekend at UFC Fight Night DC. We're going to touch a little bit on that. But obviously, you know what's going down. You know what we're going to be talking about. We've got 3 title fights this weekend featuring, I would argue, some of the, at least 3 greatest of all times when it comes to this division, these weight classes. So we're going to hit hard on UFC 245. We're so excited for it. Yeah, let's go.
All right, so jumping into UFC Fight Night DC last week, there was a lot of really memorable stuff. You mentioned, obviously, the Overeem knockout and obviously the lip split open the way that it did. But let's also talk about Bryce Mitchell. The guy is an absolute animal. I remember watching him on an early UFC Fight Night card earlier this year, and I was like, dude, this guy's so good. This guy's so good. He's a likable guy. He's pretty humble and stuff like that. You know, had the Trump call out at the end, you know, whatever people want to think about that. But he seems like a very genuine, nice, small town guy who's really cool and stuff like that. And the funniest thing is he goes out and tweets after and talked about it. You know, I learned that from Eddie Bravo off YouTube. Like that is, and let me tell you,
the Twister.
I do. It is very difficult to learn something on YouTube and then like do it in actual jiu-jitsu. Like, it's very difficult to do that. Like, you really have to, anyways. But Bryce Mitchell, second twister in the history of the UFC, and continuing to make himself look like a major factor in the 155-pound weight division. Yeah,
it was a fun watch, and he, like you said, is super likable. From Arkansas.
Yes.
I'm wondering if he knows our boy Thomas Gifford.
He could.
I'm sure they do.
He could.
Right? Like 2 guys in the UFC, both of them are so proud to be Arkansas native. I mean, that'd be awesome. As soon as I saw that, I was like, we should reach out to this guy. Maybe Thomas Gifford can give him some big ups for our interview with him.
We should reach out to Thomas Gifford and see if we could get an interview with Bryce Mitchell. That would be awesome. Yeah. Another big one that I was impressed by was Aspen Ladd. Not only the fight itself, but the beginning of the week and the weight cut process. We all saw a few months ago when she fought, she barely made it to 135 pounds. Everyone was saying she's got to go to featherweight. And all these different things. She came into this fight week, she said, hey, you know what? I'm ready now. You know, I weigh this amount. I don't really have to cut weight, and I feel really good. And so Aspen Ladd looked incredible against Yana Kunitskaya.
Yeah, good luck saying that one correctly.
I'm trying my best. But hats off to Aspen Ladd. She's another big rising star, I think, in the bantamweight division, which is going to be exciting to see where she goes. 9-1 now in the not all in the UFC, but now with a mixed martial arts record of 9-1. And then the granddaddy.
Yeah.
Do you want to take over?
Absolutely. This one has perplexed me. Couldn't get that one out. This fight has perplexed me for the last few days. Honestly, Jairzinho Rosenstrike fought, 4 weeks ago?
Yes, I believe so.
It was very recently. It might have been UFC 244, I don't know, but he's a rising star in the heavyweight division, undefeated, and he takes a fight on very short notice because I believe it was Dos Santos who dropped out, or someone was supposed to fight over him last weekend, dropped out, and so Rosenstrike stepped in. I was watching this fight at my in-laws' house, and my little brother-in-law was watching. He's like, "This is so boring. This is so lame." It was a heavyweight fight. Not a whole lot was going on. They were trading, but it was just kind of a lot of stuffed takedowns, not a lot of connected shots, not a lot of big shots. And he was complaining the whole fight, and I was like, dude, it just takes one.
It just takes one.
These guys weigh 250 pounds, and 240 pounds of that is probably a muscle. So you just wait. And 4 seconds left in the fight, and he's still complaining. And then Jairzinho Rosenstrike comes with a 2-punch combo.
Oh, my God.
And it was the most violent. That was the most hard to watch injury I could say I've ever seen. I mean, other than maybe Anderson Silva's knee,
there's been some bad ones, but I mean, it's right there. I couldn't open my Instagram for like 2 days because I follow so many UFC, publications, things like that. I couldn't, I'm really squirmy. And so seeing that stuff just killed me. Alistair Overeem, he was winning that fight, which is the crazy thing. He was up on all of those, on all of the cards. And then our boys over at Verdict MMA, did you see that 0% predicted the knockout in the final round of the fight?
Sure.
And so pretty incredible, in my opinion, one of the better fight nights we've had in a long time. A pretty stacked card filled with a lot of different special performances and things like that. And you end with Alistair Overeem, a MMA Hall of Famer, splitting open his lip like that. Oh my God.
To a rising star, especially in a division that's slowly becoming boring.
Yeah, I mean, you have your Francis Ngannou's, and you have all the talk of Tyson Fury coming up, and John Jones coming up, and things like that.
But you don't have rising stars in the heavyweight division anymore.
No, you don't.
You don't.
But you have one now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm so excited to see the future of Jairzinho Rosenstrike. I think he gets a title shot next year.
Hopefully.
I think he's probably going to fight Francis Ngannou. They both talked a little bit on social media after Jairzinho's win. So I could see that fight happening. And if Jairzinho pulls it out against Francis Ngannou, then
there's no one else.
Winner of Stipe DC, possibly, Curtis Blades.
A Curtis Blades or Francis Ngannou will get you to the title.
Yeah.
And so one of those two. The only thing I worry about with that is again, Alistair doesn't get knocked out like that in the last few seconds. He won that fight pretty easily. Yeah. And so we'll see what happens to him. We'll see what Dana gives him next. But maybe take a little bit of time. He's been fighting a lot. So
yeah. No, I'm excited to see. All right, let's jump into UFC 245. There are so many. It's like we're playing bingo and we just need to reach into the bowl and pick one out.
It's so stacked.
I don't know how to start, but
I really don't either.
Let's maybe start with the early or with the prelims and maybe work our way up to the big ones.
Let's start to that first Mike Perry, Jeff Neal fight. Both very, very talented fighters. Mike Perry, last time we saw him was earlier in the summer when he fought Vicente Luque, had that crazy broken nose. Brick, what are you thinking coming into this fight?
Yeah, it's going to be violent.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what I'm most excited for. We see that Jeff Neal is a gifted striker. That's what he identifies himself as on UFC's website. So I think that has to say something. The guy only has 2 losses under his belt, so you could say he's decently new to the UFC. His last loss, he's undefeated in the UFC technically. He's only got 4 wins, one draw. But yeah, he hasn't lost since 2017. He's a great striker. He just came off a win against Nico Price. So I think it's going to be very violent, and we know Mike Perry's a bulldog. He's not gonna get submitted. It's not gonna end with a TKO. I think these guys battle it out.
That was a Jeff Neal's performance against Nico Price was incredible, and that really put him on the map to give him a name like Mike Perry. And there was somebody that Mike Perry was supposed to fight. Am I correct? And then
there was a call out. Someone wanted Mike Perry. I'm trying to remember who it was.
Everybody wants Mike Perry.
Yeah. I don't remember who it was.
But either way, Jeff Neal, Really, really good performance against Nico Price. I'm really excited to see what he can do against Mike Perry. I think this is going to be a big showing of, or a big piece of evidence as to where does he go next? Who is he able to fight? Because let's say he knocks out Mike Perry. Let's say he handles Mike Perry easily. He's easily now getting put into the top 10. Yeah. And so that's going to be exciting.
And in the welterweight division with so much going on, can we just stop for a second and realize that Conor McGregor is going to be a welterweight fighter in 2020?
Oh my gosh.
Like, I get that not a lot of people want this, and I'm not like a Conor fanboy or anything, but I totally am.
We all are.
Right.
We all are.
But Conor McGregor at welterweight changes a lot.
It changes so much.
Say Jeff Neal gets a knockout. Say Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington go 5 rounds. It's really, really close. Obviously, neither one of them is going to be out of the spotlight for a very long time, even if they lose. And then you still have Jorge Masvidal. You still have Tyron Woodley. You still have Leon Edwards. Like, this division is slowly becoming the greatest division in the UFC.
Without a doubt. I mean, I think it's been the best division. We talked about it at the beginning when, like, I think it was maybe the first show we ever did, episodes. 25 weeks ago. But it's crazy to think about what could happen with the welterweight division, because like we said, and this is what I love about 2019, and if we weren't really doing like a pre-show, I probably would have like wanted to do my final thought about this. We literally started off this show, and I believe the first episode, saying this is what the welterweight tournament looks like. Yeah. And it has pretty much played out that way. Yeah. The only person that really is kind of the outlier in all of that is Jorge Masvidal.
And now Conor McGregor.
And now Conor McGregor, because we didn't have him. But at the beginning of when we started this show, there was 8 or 9 guys that we were like, yep, this guy could fight for the title at the end of the year. And now we have the 2 best, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And that is so, so exciting for me. And so I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah. I think we're very lucky that probably the biggest fight on the undercard features a legend in welterweight and a rising star, because with so much going on, like, this fight just kind of adds to it. And this fight doesn't have as serious of implications as other fights in the welterweight division going on right now, like the future of Jorge Masvidal or what happens between Conor and Cerrone. Like, we'll see. But this is a really good mix.
Really quick before we end the round, just because it's such a relevant talking point and people have been wanting to, figure it out, and I guess our analysis would be interesting. Conor McGregor at 70, is that permanent? Is that going to be the thing that he's doing in 2020? Is he going to cut down to 155? People are saying, oh, it's because he's waiting for Khabib and he wants to fight at 70. Maybe it's because Cowboy said, hey, I don't want to do the cut to 55. I've done that a bunch this year and I'm not doing well at 55 and my chin isn't ready. It could be, hey, I want to enjoy the holidays with my family and I don't want to have a huge weight cut during a fight. No, seriously. I mean, that could totally be a thing. Yeah. And, we're all a little bigger during the holidays. Yeah. And so what is the reason for Conor not jumping down to 55 and fighting at 70, where in all honesty, he is a little undersized. He's going to be a little thicker, but he is 5'9", and 170 pounds is a little bit heavier for 5'9", especially in the world of mixed martial arts.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I'm really glad you stopped to get this talking point going, because I was going to ask you, do you think, and I'm kind of answering my own question, that Conor McGregor in his hiatus from the UFC, in his long hibernation from fighting, he's seeing what we saw, right? He's seeing what we're seeing, in that the welterweight division is exploding.
Yeah.
In Conor's absence, there was big shoes to fill as far as the biggest trash talker, as far as the biggest money fights, as far as the most exciting fights. Every one of those categories was filled by the welterweight division. You have Colby Covington, who became the bad boy of the... I mean, he already kind of was.
But he was he's taken over that role.
He has become Conor McGregor's apprentice, if you will, in the best trash talker in the game today. Jorge Masvidal, Nate
takes
Diaz.
all the money fights and the performances.
There you go. Was the money fight of the year. I think Conor McGregor is sitting back and relaxing, and he's going, I've done this in the past. I've dominated, and then I've thought of what could make me more famous. Floyd Mayweather, jumping weight classes, fighting Khabib, throwing a dolly through a bus. This is what Conor McGregor does. He looks to try to find what he can do to make himself more evident and more, relevant in the fighting world. And so in his hiatus, he's seeing welterweight and he's going, he's seeing dollar signs at the welterweight division. He's saying all I need to do is go up to 170 and fight these guys, and I will re-solidify myself, because lightweight, it's not there anymore.
Lightweight has a lot of guys. Lightweight also is a little bit busy right now. There's a lot of people there at lightweight, and honestly, I don't think necessarily he wants to fight Gaethje. I think he'd rather fight Cerrone at 70 than Gaethje at 55.
Who wouldn't?
And so if that's the case, I get that. I think Dana maybe wants to make Khabib versus Conor too, but according to Ariel Helwani, there was reports that came out. Ariel spoke to his team, and Ariel said, hey, why is Conor not jumping down to 55? Why is he fighting at 70? And all Conor's team said was he's a BMF. And so those implications show that Conor does want Jorge Masvidal, which is what I've been saying for like 20 weeks.
I wouldn't be shocked if he gets Jorge Masvidal, but look at that. He used the exact same vernacular as what was, like, what has been the UFC. If you took a poll and asked what was the biggest, or what is one key word that makes you think of the UFC in 2019, it's not Conor McGregor.
It's Jorge Masvidal.
For the first time, but it's the BMF. People are going to say the BMF title, that's what was the biggest part of the year. Conor McGregor had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
And I think he knows that, and he's a little sour about it.
Well, what's funny is he can. He's got ties to Nate Diaz. And if he fights well enough in the welterweight division, Jorge Masvidal is the perfect matchup. That's why people keep saying, I want Jorge Masvidal to fight for the title. I just don't think stylistically Jorge Masvidal can beat either of these two guys. But I definitely think Jorge Masvidal and Conor McGregor is the most interesting striking battle possibly ever.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we can be honest with ourselves and realize that we're so excited for Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, but they're wrestlers. And neither of them are going to throw flying knees. Neither of them are going to go straight left.
I think Colby could.
Okay, yeah, but it's not in their persona. They're both smart. They want the gold. They want a title. And they're both really smart fighters, whereas Jorge Masvidal and Conor McGregor are instinct guys. They are passion guys.
It would be fun.
Yeah, that type of fight is much like a Jorge Masvidal, Nate Diaz, in that they're going to stand and bang the whole time. Whereas Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, there's going to be striking, but for the most part, it's going to be tactical.
Let me ask you this, and people can ask this also in the or answer this also in the comments. Would you rather see Conor beat Khabib and win back the 155 strap? As it doesn't necessarily have to be realistic, or would you rather see Conor McGregor fight Jorge Masvidal not for the title? What would you rather see in 2020 for his next fight after Cerrone?
Absolutely, Jorge Masvidal.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Me too. Even if it was guaranteed that he beats Khabib and gets back to the top of 55.
Yeah.
I
don't think anyone wants Khabib to lose until there's a GSP fight.
Man, that'd be fun.
Right?
I want that to happen.
Like, who do people want Khabib to lose to other than Tony? I mean, with Tony coming up, people are like, I've seen memes where people are like, what if Tony submits him?
I want Tony so bad. I think he's gonna do it. Anyways,
it would be insane. But I think people like an undefeated record. I like an undefeated record, and Khabib is a scary Dagestani warrior that people don't quite understand yet. Khabib is still a cheat code, and I think people want Khabib to stay undefeated until there are talks of a GSP.
That would be super exciting. All right, let's jump into the main card. All righty, Brick. I think this might be your favorite one, or either this one or the next round to talk about.
What are you talking about?
Your boy, WEC Gold, WEC Hall of Famer, the man, Uriah Faber, the California Kid, returns since his first round knockout. Uriah Faber facing off against rising star and Peter Yan. Brick, how do you see this one playing out, and what gets you excited about this fight?
Okay, here's what I love. Peter Yan, in my opinion, stylistically, is a reincarnated WEC version of Uriah Faber. Because Uriah Faber in the WEC, I've talked about this.
Similar.
Yeah,
a little bit.
They're both very stocky, very filled out, if I could say that. But we all know Uriah Faber in the WEC is not the same Uriah Faber as in the UFC. Uriah Faber in the WEC was so much quicker. He was so much more offensive, right? He was so much more aggressive. And Peter Yan is looking like that type of guy, right?
Yes.
He has had a UFC come up that is in my opinion, unlike any other bantamweight that we've seen recently. So I think this fight's going to be incredible. Of course I want Uriah Faber. Of course I want the California kid to pull it out and have a possible Henry Cejudo fight or possible Dominic Cruz part 4 or whatever, right? If Uriah Faber wins or if Peter Yan wins this, there are going to be serious ups in the bantamweight division. I'm just excited. I'm here for it. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm here for it too. I love. Okay, so here's the thing. In July, everyone was saying, "Oh, why are they putting Uriah back in Sacramento? Why are they putting him in front of his hometown? He's going to lose to Ricky Simone. He's a rising star.
It could
He's
have been
15-1." And Uriah goes and knocks him out, and I think he did it. A lot of people said it was an early stoppage, but I think it was still a convincing knockdown into a ground and pound, and it was a clean ground and pound and totally worth the stoppage that it got. Uriah Faber, in that moment, gave everybody hope. Gave everybody a reason to go, I still believe in Uriah. Uriah can still do it. And maybe he can. Maybe we see that against Peter Yan and he totally does that. Because here's the thing. Just like you, I'm rooting for Uriah Faber. I'm going to be screaming his name. I'm going to be yelling. I'm going to lose my voice screaming for Uriah Faber. But Peter Yan is an absolute beast, an animal. And I think... I remember this a long time ago. It was when I was first getting into sports, and it was the Super Bowl. And I said, "Who do you want to win?" It was the Chicago Bears, the Indianapolis Colts. And my buddy goes, an older, who's like an adult, and he goes, "I want the Bears, but I think the Colts will win." Yeah. And I'm the exact same way. I want Uriah, but I think Peter's gonna get it. Sure. And so, as much as I really hope Uriah does it, we'll see what happens. But I am so excited for this fight. And you're absolutely right. I think they're very similar in the ways that they fought. Uriah is, the way Uriah was the way he was in the WEC. And Peter Yan clearly looked at him as one of his idols. And how cool is that for Peter Yan to be able to fight one of his, one of the people that he watched growing up?
I was going to say, we've seen that a lot in the past year, with Israel Adesanya and Anderson Silva. Yeah. So I think it's a lot of fun. What we have just above this fight in Marlon Moraes and Jose Aldo is kind of similar, right? Jose Aldo is an old legend, although I feel like Jose Aldo's legendary status ended just in 2016, right? Yeah. With Conor McGregor, whereas Uriah Faber's ended with his second loss to Dominic Cruz in the UFC, and since then it was kind of so this fight's interesting for a lot of the same reasons, but also different. Your final thought a couple weeks ago was beautiful on this Jose Aldo Marlon Moraes.
Some people didn't like it, and I thought it was so funny seeing people get all riled up. Look, man, I just like to have fun. Whatever, go ahead.
No, I think I think it's going to be a really fun fight because we have this back and forth. Here's the thing that I love about these two bantamweight fights is neither of them are boring, right? Neither of them are no. But for this reason, neither of them are two bantamweights who are great and it's going to be a good fight. In both, we have a experienced legend of the sport, Hall of Famer. We know Jose Aldo is going to be UFC Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Uriah Faber already admitted in the UFC Hall of Fame. Peter Yan, up-and-comer, Marlon Moraes, little brother, but has always been there, right?
And he'll be there.
Has always been there. Yeah. So, neither of these fights are going to be boring because it has all the elements of could this be a comeback? Could this be the statement of a rising star? Could this be the night that Henry Cejudo never forgets? You know what I mean?
Please be there, Henry. Please be there.
He's got to be.
I just want to say hi.
Oh yeah, because you're gonna be there. Oh
my gosh. So this is what's crazy, is it's Marlon Moraes who looked incredible against Henry Cejudo, and I think he learned his lesson that he gassed out against Henry Cejudo. I think he comes in a little bit slower. This is what I was thinking about actually today when I was headed over here. Jose Aldo needs to get this fight to the floor. Jose Aldo is a very, very good wrestler. Jose Aldo is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And as much as Marlon Moraes is a good grappler, we saw the way that he was. Obviously, Jose Aldo is not a gold medalist in wrestling the way that Henry Cejudo is. I don't know if anybody forgot about that. But Marlon Moraes on the ground might be a little bit inferior to Jose Aldo. And that's, I think, the only way that he wins this fight. Also, after the rehydration process, I think Jose Aldo will be a lot heavier. So don't be surprised if Jose's main goal is to get this fight to the ground faster so that Marlon Moraes can gas out on the canvas rather than gas out chopping up Jose Aldo's legs.
Well, another point, Jose Aldo's chin isn't what it used to be.
No.
We saw Jose Aldo get put to sleep by Conor McGregor with one shot. We saw Jose Aldo get knocked down multiple times against Max Holloway. he's not the same guy that he used to be when he was a decade-long champ. So you're right. I could totally see this fight going to the ground, but either way, we have two impeccable strikers. Jose Aldo has been cutting like mad. We all saw the photo.
He looks sick, and he doesn't look good. And as much as weight cutting is a part of this game, when you decide to jump out of either to jump down or to jump up in weight divisions, like what if Uriah Faber said, "Hey, I'm going to flyweight"? Everyone would go, "Dude, you're crazy. Yeah. Like, just don't do that." It's truly a cry for help. I said this a few weeks ago. I truly see Jose Aldo's jump down to 135 pounds as a cry for help, a cry for relevancy, a way to kind of resurrect his legacy, which he is absolutely a legend. He's had some losses. He's lost to Volkanovski, he's lost to Holloway, he's lost to Conor. But for the most part, Jose Aldo is absolutely a Hall of Fame fighter, and he will always be that. But, maybe this is Marlon's time. Marlon looks sharper. He's going to be in his natural weight class. Jose Aldo is going to be 33 years old, coming off of some losses, and he's going to be cutting down to 135 pounds, and it looks ugly.
This is very similar to, if you remember, when Frankie Edgar announced his big weight cut.
Yes.
We were both like, we know why he's doing this.
Yeah.
He's lost 5 of his last 7 fights at featherweight, and so he's looking for answers. Even at lightweight, he wasn't successful. So he's looking for answers, and I think that's kind of what Jose is doing. I'm not gonna make any picks for this fight. I want Uriah Faber, so I'm gonna pick him. But as far as Jose Aldo, Marlon Moraes, it's such a toss-up in my eyes.
Really, I see Marlon winning. Right. I do. I'd absolutely see Marlon winning. And I think maybe, unless Jose can really grapple with him, I see Marlon chipping Jose, maybe second round.
Okay.
So, alrighty. So now we are getting into, this is crazy, man. Three title fights.
Yeah, I'm tired.
This is insane, dude. 3 title fights. Let's jump straight into it. Jermaine Durandamine, Amanda Nunes. Hit us with it.
Well, Amanda Nunes takes the cake this week for boldest response to an interview question. Did you see that?
Yes.
On Ariel Helwani's show?
Yes, I did.
Do you think you're the greatest? I am.
Yeah.
Like full on Old Testament type I am stuff, right? Like she full on just came out and said, "I have earned this. I have proved it. I am the greatest women's fighter of all time." And then she went on to say, "I'm better than the men too," right? She said, "I proved it. I am the best UFC fighter to ever live."
And as much as I love Amanda Nunes, I think that there's a few more ways that you've got to win before, because don't get me wrong, I think Amanda Nunes is incredible, but there's so many good names. But without a doubt, in terms of women's fighters, absolutely, she's number one.
She's the GOAT.
And so this fight against Jermaine Durandamine is more of a, hey, we haven't seen Nunes in a while. Let's throw her back in the octagon. Maybe Jermaine Durandamine does get something. Her last loss was against Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
She beat Aspen Ladd, beat Raquel Pennington, beat Holly Holm. She's beaten a lot of big names. And this is really it in terms of who really has a chance right now at bantamweight. And even then, a lot of people think that she doesn't have a chance. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think Amanda Nunes is going to win this. I don't think a lot of people think Jermaine Durandamine has a chance. But how fun would that be if Jermaine Durandamine comes in and shocks the world? And
new champ?
Yeah, maybe and new.
I love how 3 of the 5 title fights this weekend feature the same type of thing. We've got
what do you mean? 3 of the 5 title fights?
Sorry. 3 of the 5 main events.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. 3 of the 5 fights on the main card feature the same type of stylistic matchup, which is a GOAT or a Hall of Famer versus an up-and-comer. Jermaine Durandamine is not necessarily a 21, 22-year-old up-and-comer, but she's never held the belt, and she is working her way up, and this is a title fight with the greatest of all time. Alexander Volkanovski, rising star, facing a legend in Max Holloway. Peter Yan, a rising star, facing an old legend in Uriah Faber. I love these stylistic matchups that the UFC has put together for us for this weekend. Yeah, I'm going to go with Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
With this one.
Yeah.
If you tell me that if you told me 5 minutes before the Cyborg Nunes fight what was going to happen,
oh my God.
And then you told me that Amanda Nunes was going to fight any other person on the planet, I'd be like, she's going to win. No, for real.
No,
If I saw the future and saw what Amanda Nunes did to Chris Cyborg, the most terrifying human on the planet, as I refer to her, she's not losing to anyone.
She's no joke, man. And, she's going to continue to solidify that legacy in my eyes. On the off chance that Jermaine Durandamine, beats her somehow, hats off to Jermaine Durandamine, but we'll see what happens. All right. The co-main event at featherweight.
One of the co-mains, right? There's like 18 co-mains. Gosh.
It's so stacked. Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski. Brick, we've talked about this in the weeks coming up to this, but I really want to see what you think going into this one.
Okay. I'm going to take Alexander Volkanovski in this one. Just quick pick. That's my quick pick, and here's why. We've talked about this so many times on the show. The UFC is evolving. It's not all about big striking anymore. It's a lot of it is about wrestling, and we have. It's no secret, and it's not a surprise that the welterweight division title fight is featuring two of the best wrestlers to ever grace the UFC. Look at all the weight classes. Lightweight is being dominated by a wrestler. Featherweight, a title fight between a striker and now a wrestler. We have all these up-and-comers who are...
You forgot to mention the fact that Henry Cejudo is a wrestler.
Okay, yeah, Henry Cejudo. Oh my gosh. I just have to say his name once a week and to keep Blake, calm down.
Keep me going on the show.
No, but I take the wrestler in this matchup. I think Max Holloway has had his 15 minutes of fame, if you will.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, I'm not.
Give my man some respect.
I'm not saying it's not deserved. I think Max Holloway is a Hall of Famer. He's a legend. But in my eyes, I see everyone's legendary status has to come to an end. No one thought Jose Aldo was going to lose. It has to come to an end.
Yeah.
Despite what I just said, Amanda Nunes' reign is going to come to an end at some point. I think it's that time for Max Holloway. We just saw him lose against a bigger guy in a lightweight fighter, Dustin Poirier, and now he's facing a thicker, in my opinion, stronger guy. He doesn't have the reach that Max Holloway has, so if Max is able to keep him at bay and beat him on strikes, then I think this fight goes 5 rounds and Max Holloway gets the decision win.
Yeah.
But Volkanovski is a terrifying wrestler, and he's in a weight class where if you can wrestle and dominate in wrestling, you'll be all right. Because it's mostly dominated by strikers, if we're being honest.
No, absolutely. I completely see where you're coming from. The thing that's interesting, there's so many things I got to say about this fight. Volkanovski is a wrestler. And the last time that Max fought a really scary... Frankie Edgar is a great grappler. But the last time he fought a scary grappler was dude, that's one of the best in the world at what he does. It was Brian Ortega. But as we've seen this year, obviously jiu-jitsu doesn't have the type of takedown efficiency that a wrestler does. So I give, as much as Max Holloway is a great takedown defender, Alexander Volkanovski does have that ability to take down Max Holloway maybe in ways that he hasn't seen to the level. Obviously, he's seen people being able to take him down. Yeah. And things like that, and he's so good at stuffing the takedown. But for the most part, Alexander Volkanovski is a different level of that, and so that's going to be something that he's got to make sure that he's sharp on. Outside of that, Max has the reach. Max, I think, has a little bit more power because Max does walk around a lot heavier than 145 pounds. He looks thin right now, though, and I think there's something to be said about the discipline factor. I think there's something also to be said about travel. Alexander Volkanovski, coming from New Zealand, is I believe, a 17, 18-hour time difference or something like that, versus Max Holloway, who's from Hawaii. He's going to be fighting he'll probably be fighting at about 10 o'clock Las Vegas time, which is 7 p.m. in Hawaii. And so, these different things, I think, have something to be said about how the fight might play out. You also have the fact that Max Holloway is an absolute beast when it comes to main events and things like that. We haven't seen Alexander Volkanovski in a 5-round fight. Maybe he gasses out. We see a lot of wrestlers gas out early on. We also see the fact that Max Holloway is the vet. He is somebody who looks good right now, and Alexander Volkanovski seems a little weary. I'm basing this off of what I saw strictly on the last Embedded episode. Alexander Volkanovski looked a little, out of his zone, whereas Max Holloway, he seems ready, man. Yeah. He looks good. His weight looks good. It doesn't look like it's going to be a terrible cut for him to 45. He looks great. And I'm very excited to see that because the last time we did see him lose was against Dustin Poirier back in April. And when he fought Dustin Poirier, he was a little bit out of his zone. He was, I don't have to cut weight. Like, I feel great. I don't have to, be as disciplined as I am when I have to cut to 45. Yeah. But there's something about discipline when you are going into these big, big fights.
A little stat for you. Max Holloway has not lost in the featherweight division since he lost to Conor McGregor in 2003.
Yeah.
That's
2013.
Oh, did I say? Oh, yeah, 2013. Sorry, 2003.
I was 6.
Yeah, because I remember watching that fight when I was 7 years old. No, but this guy has one of the longest tenor of featherweight wins in UFC history. And so you're right. This is going to be an incredible fight, but I think the day of wrestling has come.
Possibly.
I think the age of wrestling has arrived in the UFC, and I think we might see an new hand being raised at the end of
another one.
Possibly
another one,
dude. I don't know. It's so hard to make these picks.
It's so hard to pick these.
I'm not confident. This is terrible. I'm not confident in picking anything.
I'm not week. Either. And I think this next one going into the final prediction of the episode. Speaking of wrestling, speaking of stalemate, speaking of the exact same record of 15-1, Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. Brick, I'm going to be straight with you, dude. I don't think I have ever had more of a, and I've said this a few times on the show, and this is by far the hardest it's ever been. I have zero clue. I have zero clue who wins this fight. I think if it goes volume, it goes to Colby. I think if it goes to power, it goes to Usman. I think that the fact that Colby is so in Usman's head, I think there's something to be said about that. I think Colby is, like you said earlier, he's kind of like Conor McGregor-esque in the way that he talks trash, the way he gets in people's heads. I think he's totally in the head of Kamaru Usman. What does that have to say? Is Usman, there's been a lot of talk of Usman being on EPOs. There's a lot of talk as to why Usman didn't fight at 244. And things like that. Is Usman off EPOs right now? Is he not going to be able to perform the way that he usually does? Is Colby as good as he looked against Robbie Lawler? Will he be able to be as dominant as he was against Robbie Lawler versus Kamaru Usman? And for that reason, as much as it's splitting hairs, I think Colby Covington is the new welterweight champion of the world on Saturday night.
Here's my take. And I'm not going to make any huge predictions or anything. Here's my one prediction for this fight. This goes to the judges.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For sure. It goes 5 rounds. It goes to the judges. I think it's going to be a bloody fight. There's going to be so much wrestling. It's going to be an exhibition of cardio. And here's why. Like you just said, it's splitting hairs. These guys are one and the same, other than huge personality difference, right? Huge come up difference. Huge difference in a lot of things. Here's what isn't different. Their last 3 fights. Both of them faced Damian Maia, RDA, and then a former champ.
Yeah.
For Usman, it was Maia, RDA, and then Tyron Woodley, where he took the belt from him. Covington, it was Maia, RDA, who he took the belt from, and then former champion Robbie Lawler. So, dude, it's like these guys are at training camp together. They faced the same last 3 types of opponents. And now they're meeting at the top of the tournament, right?
So the thing that's interesting though is a lot of people think that Usman and Colby's wrestling are going to cancel each other out, kind of like how Damian Maia Ben Askren went, where everyone was expecting it to be 5 straight minutes of straight grappling, and that's totally what we all thought was going to happen. And at the end of every round, the last minute or so, as Ben Askren said was his game plan, he was going to strike with Damian Maia until he could get the takedown and then win the points at the end of the round. Does that same thing happen against Usman and Colby Covington? Does their wrestling cancel out? And if that's the case, and we're talking about volume, I think Colby Covington beats him because, like we saw against Robbie Lawler, he broke the record for most strikes thrown and most strikes landed in the history of any fight.
Okay. But... Here's my thing. Because you're going with Colby and because I said I'm not going to make any huge predictions, I'm going to very softly take Kamaru Usman.
Okay.
And here's why. Do you remember, we talked about this so many times. What does 0-21 make you think of? 0 for 21. Right?
Tyron Woodley versus Damian Maia.
Tyron Woodley stuffed 21 takedown attempts of Damian Maia. There is a clip from Kamaru Usman Tyron Woodley fight where Kamaru picks him up and very Demetrius Johnson-esque throws him to the ground. I give advantage of wrestling to Kamaru Usman. And while that may not translate as much to judges as much as significant strikes does, I don't know. I think ground and pound will be a huge factor in this fight, and I give a very, very slight edge to Kamaru Usman.
No, and all I think it's important to say, all of this is very like tentative. This is all like, hey man, it could go completely the other way.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not putting money on anything.
No, absolutely not. But you're absolutely right in the terms of Kamaru Usman murked Tyron Woodley. Yeah. Tyron was hurt. Tyron was a lot smaller than Kamaru Usman. Colby and Kamaru are around the same size in terms of height and things like that, in terms of reach and things like that. And so it's a little bit different in that sense because Tyron is kind of like Conor McGregor's body build, where it's, thicker around the midsection and in the chest area where they're just pure muscle. But they are only 5'9", 5'10". Yeah. And so that's a little bit different of a thing. I also think Kamaru walks around a lot heavier than Colby, just in general. And so again, like I said, power versus endurance. And where does that end us up? I don't know.
That's what's crazy is because there's there's no real difference in cardio between these two guys. And that says something about Kamaru Usman. I think Colby Covington has possibly the best cardio in the UFC.
I would say so.
And I'm saying Kamaru Usman's right there with him. I'm saying Kamaru Usman probably has the best wrestling in the welterweight division. Colby Covington, right there with him, right? And I love how much they hate each other. This is why I love the DC John Jones rivalry, because it's real. These guys cannot stand each other.
But nobody can stand Colby Covington. And at the end of the day, I think Kamaru hates Colby. I don't think Colby's got a problem with anybody. Colby plays the heel. Colby plays the game, and he wants to get in every single person's heads. And I think at the end of the day, when it's like splitting hairs, just like it was with Jose Aldo, Conor McGregor, we talked about that one a lot. He's fighting on this card with Jose Aldo fighting on this card. When you get in someone's head, it gives you an advantage. And I think Colby Covington has a few too many advantages over Kamaru Usman.
See, but I think Kamaru is in Colby's head a little bit.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Have you seen the backstage encounter between the two before the 245 press conference?
Colby doesn't turn off. Colby likes to play this game. He likes to get everyone talking about him.
All I'm saying is if there is a guy who is going to frighten Colby Covington.
Without a doubt.
It's Kamaru.
It's Kamaru Usman.
Because Colby Covington, no offense to Damian Maia or RDA or Robbie Lawler, his last 3 fights, he's faced legends, but not in their prime.
You're right.
Absolutely not in their prime.
You're right.
And so he's facing a guy very much in his prime.
Yeah.
And so
that's a really good point.
It's seriously, it's going to be 2 wild animals at the best they've ever been when it comes to physique, fighting technique, whatever.
And again, the most beautiful thing I swear this is the most beautiful thing of it all. We started this podcast at a specific time when we said, hey, this is when it's going to start getting exciting. Right after Colby Covington fought Robbie Lawler. We're going into the final show, our 16th episode of this wonderful podcast that I care about so much. And it is Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman, the finale of the welterweight division, the welterweight tournament that has been the year of 2019. We've had Ben Askren come in and go. We've seen all sorts of different storylines be created. And at the end of the day, it's the 2 best guys, 2 wrestlers. It's going to be splitting hairs, and it's going to be one of the best main events, one of the best cards of the year. I am so excited.
Here's my last thing that I want to say, and here's why this is so beautiful. We find ourselves at the very end of the welterweight tournament. We've seen the BMF title. We've seen Damian Maia's up and downs. We've seen trash talk between Usman and Covington. We've seen Lawler drop. We've seen Tyron Woodley drop. We have seen everything there is to see in the welterweight division. We come to the end, and Conor McGregor is still yet to fight in the division.
Yeah.
There is so much more that's going to happen. Can you imagine if Conor McGregor... this is the Conor McGregor show, everyone. Can you imagine if Conor McGregor defeats Cerrone? He's going to have talks with Colby Covington,
Kamaru Usman, Jorge Masvidal, Khabib Nurmagomedov, or Tony Ferguson.
Dude, oh my gosh. 2020, it's going to be insane. I'm so excited.
I know.
That's my final thought. I don't want to say anything else other than that.
My final thought is come to UFC 245. Say what's up. Watch it. And please get in our DMs. Talk to us. We want to freaking talk to you guys about this. There is nothing more fun than engaging with you guys over Instagram and on all our social media platforms.
There it is. Yep.
Oh, man. Well, Brick.
FTN episode 16.
Yep.
This may or may not be the last one. I really hope it's not. But
we shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. Big shout out once again to Soci Wear Clothing, Robert Jemias, Don't Be Richard Music, everyone who makes this show run. We have so many Instagram faithful and social media faithful who help us out, push this show, and are just genuine fans. That's what I like the most. It's like these people are trying to help us out. They're not really asking for anything in return. No one's asking us for clout, like, hey, can you post about me? It's like they're fans. They're genuine fans of what we talk about and what we get to do. So
it is so cool. There's nothing that makes me happier than like posting a question or something on our Instagram and then seeing that we got 20, 30 responses. It's crazy. It's so crazy. We appreciate everybody who listens. We appreciate everyone who respects our stupid opinions. And
they're wrong a lot of the time.
But we have so much fun doing it. Don't be a Richard. Send us off.